It's now my great honour to introduce Mikaela Cojuangco Jaworski, Executive Board Member of the International Olympic Committee. Mikaela is a famous TV personality in the Philippines, gold medalist at the Asian Games, and has numerous professional roles, including member of the Olympic Channel Commission. So perhaps we could start by talking about that, Mikaela. How is the Olympic Channel helping to engage a younger generation of audiences in the Games and the Olympic movement?
Oh, that's a very easy question that I'm very happy to answer because I've been there from the birth of the Olympic Channel, and just to see how it has grown since then is something that I'm really proud of. I like watching as well, and sometimes I feel like watching snippets on my favorite athlete, or sometimes I want to watch a documentary or a series, and there's something there for everyone. And it's always relevant, it's always entertaining. So that's made it quite easy to reach a large number of audiences. Plus that just in the last few months, we've integrated all the apps and the website of the IOC into Olympics.com. So you can actually find everything a lot easier there, and you're not having to navigate different apps or different sites. And that's been very helpful. So even just the approach has attracted a lot of younger audiences. And in fact, the data about Tokyo will prove that. So, the Olympic Channel is handling a side of the Games, which I would say is more creative, and it's a lot more, it's for me, I would describe it as vibrant, and it's really attractive. So I think that's very helpful in reaching a lot of different audiences, especially the youth.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition for attention these days, and the young people have so many different events and interests. So, I mean, is that a challenge for the IOC, and presumably the Olympic Channel is part of the solution to that challenge?
Well, for sure. I think it's a channel for everyone who feels they have a message that they'd like to send out. And especially, I guess, for sports during a pandemic when it's difficult to go outside and have some physical activity or play or be around other people and practice sport. So having the connection through the Olympic Channel, not just now, but even before, is definitely very helpful. And we have such amazing people who work on the channel and who develop everything that's out there. So, I mean, it's just great stuff.
Of course. And I noticed that you're also a member of the Olympic Education Commission. So why would you say it's so important to educate young people on Olympic values?
As a young athlete, you actually learn the values through sport. And that's exactly what we say sport does. But at a certain point, and when you're a bit pressed for time, maybe, and as an athlete who has turned into a coach, I always tell the people whom I teach, I say, if it took me 20 years to get somewhere with me sharing my experience and knowledge with you, then maybe it will take you 10. And I feel a little bit that way about Olympic values when we actually say, this is what we learn from the practice of sport. We learn friendship, excellence, and respect, and everything else that we do learn through the practice of sport. When we go out there and actually talk about it, it becomes solidified even more and even quicker. And then we learn to use that as a step board to accelerate what we've learned and how we apply it. Because we always say that it's not just about these values being displayed by and when we practice sport, but when we conduct ourselves in our daily lives, in our interaction with our family or our friends or in the workplace, these all come into play. And this is why I think that sport is so important. It's so important for us as people in molding us when we can show commitment and hard work and how we get through adversity. This all comes into play when we practice sport. And these are such attractive traits for someone to have when you're applying for a job or when you're the boss. So,
Sure.
it all contributes.
Yes, and that sort of spirit of of hard work and solidarity, and being able to endure difficulty has obviously been incredibly important to see us through the last 18 months really. And here we are at host city, being broadcast from Glasgow, which has just hosted the COP26 summit. The next big challenge that humanity is facing now is of course climate change. And what role do you think, it's a difficult question, but what role do you think events might play in facing environmental challenges? I mean, you're from the Philippines, which is likely to be particularly hard hit by climate change.
Oh, yes. Already getting hard hit by climate change. And it's of particular interest to me as well, being Earth Hour ambassador for WWF Philippines and doing work in that area as well. And I am just really thankful to the Olympic movement for putting a lot of importance into sustainability and into practicing that. But of course, as an IOC member and within the IOC, it's been important for us to start with ourselves, even just practices within Olympic House, or even in the way that it was constructed, even in the way that we are now really trying to do our part in mitigating climate change through our own efforts as an organization. Hopefully will be an example of how it's possible, how it can be done. And when we have partners, especially like Paris in 2024, who are very serious about it, we would be able to, as an Olympic movement, display the role that we can play in this climate change issue.
Yeah, and another big challenge facing the world at the moment seems to be perhaps increased sort of polarization and difficult communications between regions and countries. And what role do you think that events like the Olympic and the Asian Games can play in promoting good international relations, perhaps even peace and harmony?
Well, for sure, most definitely, that's one of the reasons that we hold these games so dear. With the Olympic Games itself, we have the Olympic truce during every games. So it's been part of history that the games are meant to bring peace and solidarity and unity, even just the athletes' village where everyone lives in the same place. And, you know, I feel super blessed having had that experience as an athlete to come into a village, because you're just really excited to be with everybody. You're not even thinking anything other than fellow athlete, and you're not supposed to. And I think, you know, you're very competitive. Obviously, you've prepared to be there to compete and do your best, but there's so much excitement that goes on just being there and meeting people. And you're in a neutral environment. So that alone sets it up for peace. And knowing that you're there for a purpose, and you're there because of the values which we talked about earlier. I think the mindset in going there in the first place is correct and primed for that purpose. And it's something that people at home, or even our leaders, it's an example that we can set about how it's possible. And it's not an easy environment to do that in, because we're all competing against each other, but we do it. And we do it with all our hearts. And it's barely a struggle for anyone unless there's pressure from outside to have that kind of attitude. So first and foremost, it's the athletes who display it, who are the prime examples of it. And just the fact that we would like to show respect to those who have organized the event, who have invested their effort and resources into the event. It's just the decent thing to do, in my opinion. So to have these games that bring us together every 2 years, you know, for the games, the Winter and Summer Games, the Asian Games every 4 years, or even regional games, it's the best opportunity for us as an organization, or as an Olympic movement, or a sporting community, to show what role we can play in this respect.
Yeah, and speaking of sort of respect for the hosts and the organisers of the events, Asia is about to host its second Olympic Games within the space of a few months. How important do you think Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022 are for promoting Olympic sports and values in that part of the world. It's a real sort of big moment this year and next year for Olympic sports in that region.
Yes, for sure. And it's something that I believe we're all really proud of as Asians, to be able to host 2 games in a row. And Asia is so diverse. And well, also there are a lot of people in Asia, population-wise. So just to have it closer to home gives you an affinity to the games, and it makes it feel like, even if you're not from Japan or from China, that it belongs to you. And I think the importance of that is of it being so close to home and being able to relate to it a little bit more, is the ownership, not just of the games itself, but what they stand for. And that it's possible for us in this region, in this continent, to be able to host something global and something so important, and that people are coming to us to be here with us, to celebrate the games with us in our home. So it's something that uplifts everyone and makes us really proud. It unifies not just the world, but us here in Asia, to be proud of being Asian, and then to be better guests as well the next time it's hosted by someone else.
Thank you very much. And more practically speaking, perhaps looking further ahead, you're on the coordination commissions for Paris and also for Brisbane 2032, which is
yes.
quite far in the future, of course. But even at this stage, what's your perspective on their respective plans for hosting the games, Paris and Brisbane?
Exactly. And Paris 2024 is the first game that's actually going to be fully implementing Olympic Agenda 2020. And Paris and France itself being so active and aware, not just aware, but really at the forefront of the climate change issue, is going to be very significant for us. And we're really looking forward to seeing how on the ground and how they're going to be paying attention to the details that will show the role of sport in that aspect. So there are a lot of things that we can expect from Paris 2024. And I'm very excited about how they're going to put together a modern games with everything we love about Paris and the history that it represents. So, I guess those are kind of general in a way. There's nothing that I'm wondering about when it comes to the organization of the games, because we've seen that journey of the Paris organizing committee, and they're just on it. They're organized, they're passionate as individuals and as an organization. It's been great working with them. And in particular, I always say this in the coordination commission meetings, is how I am super impressed at their engagement activities, because they're really getting the whole country behind the games and spreading the Olympic values in different ways. And that to me is really quite impressive, and that will leave a legacy, which I think is also important for citizens of a host. As for Brisbane, I am looking forward to a game that's quite a few years away, and seeing after what they presented to the IOC session about their plans, how this is going to develop in the next few years. So it's going to be after the LA Games as well, which, everyone is anticipating as going to be modern, the use of technology. So we're looking forward also to how unique each Games is going to be.
And I suppose Brisbane is a bit closer to home for you as well. I imagine that Queensland and Australia will be looking forward to large in-person attendance and viewership in that region of the world as well, which presumably is a good thing for the IOC.
Yes, I think it's a good thing for everyone to come together again, and I think there will be more of an appreciation from everybody who would have the opportunity to get in a plane and fly to an Olympic city during an Olympic Games and have that experience again. When you've been deprived of it, I think there's more appreciation when you're able to do it again. And I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with spectators and fans of sport and the Olympic Games, and even just people who are curious and want to see what it's like to be in a city during a games.
Yeah, well, there's no substitute for the excitement and the sense of togetherness that you get from a large-scale international event, which is, of course, why we're here to talk about this at Host City today. So thank you so much for your time. You're an incredibly busy person, all these different roles that you have in different organisations. So we're very, very grateful, Mikey, for sparing a little bit of time for us today at Host City, and look forward to seeing you another time. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations on this event this year.